Hi, welcome to Coffee and Astronomy. I'm Jim Craig. And about 25 years ago, back when the internet was young, there were news groups. And one of the news groups I belonged to was sci.astro.planetarium. And we had a question come in, and I answered it. The question was, can I buy a star? And I gave what apparently some people thought was a fairly definitive answer. So Bill McLean and Bob Martino, who worked at planetariums, got in touch with me and asked me if they could take my answer and make it part of the Buy a Star Frequently Asked Questions page. And apparently it caught on and was eventually published in the book What Your Astronomy Textbook Won't Tell You by Norman Sperling, which you can probably find on Amazon or other bookstores. And the answer to the question, and the reason I'm bringing it up now is because we are in the holiday season. I'm recording this on November 29th of 2020, although this information I'm going to share is useful anytime. The short answer to the question, can I buy a star, is no, you can't. There are companies that claim that they will sell you the rights to name a star. And I have to be really careful with the language I use here, because some of the people who run these companies tend to be a little litigious. I don't want to get sued for what I'm about to tell you. And if you want to go ahead and do this, that's fine. I won't discourage you. I won't tell you don't. But I want you to know what you're getting for your money. This is to help you make an informed buying decision. What you will get is a certificate. Pretty nice, very pretty. And it will have your name, and it will have something about how the star was named for you, and it will probably have the coordinates. Then some companies will send you a star chart showing where the star is supposed to be. Some will send you offers for other things to purchase, which shouldn't surprise you at all. Some claim that they put your name in a book and it's registered with the Library of Congress, which somehow makes it official. In legal terms, the word official means nothing. You can make all kinds of claims and say that they are official. Now, as far as registering a book with the Library of Congress, I could take all of my grocery lists for the last 5 years, print them together, put them together, self-publish them. I know that even with self-publishing, I get my own ISBN, and register it with the Library of Congress and call it the official United States grocery list. And it could be registered. That doesn't mean anything legally. So some other things you might want to consider is no astronomer anywhere is ever going to call the star by that name. The stars that have names usually get them from antiquity. Aldebaran, Rigel, Polaris. All of the stars get their name from history, usually Arabic names. There are 3 exceptions, and those are stars that were named for the 3 Apollo astronauts who died in the Apollo 1 fire, Ed White, Roger Chaffee, and Gus Grissom. And someone wrote their names, actually like their middle names, backwards on a star chart, and it kind of stuck. So there's a star called Navi, which is for Virgil Ivan Grissom. Navi is Ivan backwards. There's a star called Rigor for Roger Chaffee. Can't remember the name of the third one. But anyway, the names of the stars are fixed. And even, if somebody's doing research on a star, they're not going to say, oh, I'm doing research on Aldebaran. They're going to say, I'm doing research on Alpha Tauri, or whatever number designation the star has. Usually it has something to do with its coordinates or where it is on a particular catalog. So if you say, I want to see star Jim Craig, an astronomer is going to kind of look askance at you, which leads to the next part of this whole thing. And that is the obligation to show you your star. Nobody has that obligation. If you go to a planetarium or you go to an observatory and you say, I want to see your star, do not be surprised if they tell you we don't do that. You know, if you run into someone who's kindly, and I always tried to be, you'll find somebody who'll say, well, it's in this region. First of all, if you go out looking for your star and you don't have a pretty good telescope with high precision, you'll never find it. Because if you've got naked eye, if you listen to the claims of some of the star companies, if they sold as many stars as they claim they have, the naked eye stars, about 6,000 of them, were gone the first 8 weeks they were in business. After that, every other star would be something you would need a telescope to see. And I have a couple stories about situations when somebody brought me their materials or wanted to see their star. And the first one, somebody brought me the certificate and they brought me the star chart. And I looked at the star chart under a magnifier. The star they had purchased was a felt tip mark. It didn't look like the little round stars that had been printed out by the computer or whatever they used for printing it. This was clearly a felt pen mark, but then it had a red circle around it, also done in felt pen. That to me is fraud, because they are selling you something that isn't there. Even if there were anything to this, now that's misleading and that's fraud. And I know that somebody might try to sue me over that. But if you put a pen mark where there wasn't something and you claim that's what you sold them, you're lying to people. Also, some of the charts, one company was selling charts that the coordinates that they gave for the star were pretty vague. Astronomers measure things in degrees, minutes, and seconds. And an arc second is 1/3600th of a degree, and a degree is 1/360th of a circle. So you get an idea, that's a really small area of the sky. Well, somebody brought in, they didn't bring in their certificate, they brought in their grocery receipt that they'd written the coordinates on, and they told me they copied the number exactly. So I took them into the planetarium and I used my arrow pointer and I said, it's somewhere here. And he said, well, which one? I said, none of those. So then we went in on my computer, and the first piece of software I fired up showed no stars in that region because they didn't go to a low enough magnitude. Higher number, dimmer star. I finally found, after the third try, I found a piece of software that went down to almost Hubble magnitude. This star was, 21st magnitude, which is about the very limit that a good amateur telescope is going to get. And there were 3 stars in that region. I said, pick one. And he got angry with me. Said I was no kind of astronomer at all if I couldn't find him this star he'd bought. And he wanted to see my director. He wanted to see the manager. And the director came down and said, this guy is perfectly capable. He is showing you what is there. If you really want to see your star, call the company. They sold you this thing. They have the obligation to show it to you. The other one, I'm sorry, I've got a little bug in here. The other one, and this story is a little bit sadder, is one brought in, and she had everything that came in her packet. She had the certificate. She had the star chart. She had the offer to buy the book that they published in, a whole lot of other things. And she wanted to see a star that she had purchased for her niece. The reason she did this is because her niece had disappeared, one of the thousands of missing children that we hear about every year. And she bought this star, and she told, and she got it to commemorate the date that the girl had disappeared. So she sent this information to her family, and she said that every member of the family should go to their local planetarium or observatory on this date and ask the person, and they can look at the star to help remember this girl and hope that she would be returned. That put me on the horns of a dilemma. I either had to play along and perpetuate this idea that she'd gotten something of value, or I had to break her heart and tell her the truth. After that, we developed a policy of simply not honoring these requests. We just simply said, we don't do that. If you want to see your star, go to the company that sold it to you. And it really does put people in an awkward position, because I don't want to lie to people. Now, I get it. The idea of buying a star, having this permanent, or if you actually know anything about stars, nearly permanent keepsake. It's a great romantic idea. I get it. I have a romantic heart myself. But it really means nothing. You're buying somebody a piece of paper. Maybe a few pieces of paper. Maybe a packet of paper. But you're not buying anything. So what can you do instead? Well, I came up with an idea this morning, and we're going to switch over here. And hopefully this time I will actually keep the sound going. This is a website called Heavens Above. It's heavens-above.com. And I have been using this site pretty much since its inception years and years ago. And it has a lot of really great things here. You don't have to log in. It does help if you have yourself logged in. But what you can do is just, it's got information. You want to know when the ISS is going to fly by. You want to know when an eclipse is going to happen. But what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down here to Sky Chart, old version. Actually, I'm going to start up here. We're going to go up here in the top right, and we're going to pick a location. Now, the location I've picked is actually the location where I got married. But we're going to pick another one. I'm going to come down here to where I went to college. And we're going to try to get as close as we can. That's pretty close. So that's where I went to college. I graduated from Southern Oregon State College, which is now Southern Oregon University. And I'm going to hit Update. So that gives me a location. Now we're going to come to the Sky Chart old version. And this shows, now this is the sky as it is right here. What I'm going to do is pick, I'm going to pick a different year. I graduated in 1993 on June 7th at 3, I have to remember to convert, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And so I can print this out and make it look nice. I'm going to do black on white. If you want to do it in color, that's fine. Hit black on white and then hit Update. And that's what the sky was like above my graduation ceremony. Of course, as you can see in the middle, the sun is out, so you didn't see any of the stars or the planets or any of that. But that is what the sky was like at that exact moment, in that exact location. So what I do is I right-click, I'm using Windows, and I think it works in Linux, and you can either hit Save Image As or hit Open Image in a new tab. And there's your chart. And you can print the chart out from here. You can import it into a program that lets you add text. You can do anything you want with it. And you give that to somebody, and to me it's a much more meaningful gift. And to give you an idea of how that prints out, I have one I made here for a different event. This is one that I made for when my son was born, back in October of 1989. Although I think I got the time wrong. I put down the time we arrived at the hospital rather than the time he was born. And that was 3 hours later. But you can make this, and you can make it meaningful. And to me, it means more than spending $25, $35, $45, $65 on those other pieces of paper that somebody else made. And it has more meaning. Now for my patrons, I'm going to do something, and that is if they send me a date and a time, at the $1 level for my patrons on Patreon, I will look this chart up for you, I will make it, and I will email you the image that I get. At the $5 level, if you want me to make you a certificate, I will send you a PDF certificate. For any level above that, I will make the PDF file for you. I will print it out and mail it to you. So if you want to get one of these charts made for you and you want to become one of my patrons, you can do so by going to patreon.com/planet of mystery. That's patreon.com/planet_of_mystery. And again, you can become a patron for as little as $1 a month, and you'll get one of these as a holiday gift, and you can personalize it to anyone. So do give that some consideration. Anyway, until next Sunday, this is Coffee and Astronomy, and I hope to see you again really soon.